Welcome to Movie Lover News. I'm your host Taryn Rubin, doing the show with Alex, and together we are bringing you the #1 movie show on Earth. There has been some wonderful casting news. They have cast the lead for the new Bourne film, The Bourne Legacy. After a long search, Universal Pictures and director Tony Gilroy have found their lead for The Bourne Legacy, which is meant to spin off from the franchise that introduced Matt Damon's Jason Bourne character. And it is Jeremy Renner. Tony Gilroy, who's been a writer on all the previous Bourne films, has been testing actors for the past few weeks to play a brand new lead character distinct from Matt Damon's Jason Bourne. And they say that Jeremy Renner is the guy that everybody wants. Jeremy Renner will play an undisclosed government operative who has come out of a program even more dangerous than the one that spawned James Bourne in the new film that begins production this September. It was reported that the Bourne character will not be in the Bourne Legacy. The film will not take place in a new canon. It will not be a reboot or prequel in any way, but more likely a spin-off in the same fictional universe with a new character in the mold of Bourne, dealing with the ramifications of the Treadstone conspiracy. Also, Gilroy has stated that he is not ruling out a future return by Matt Damon and Paul Greengrass. Universal has set the date for Bourne Legacy at August the 3rd, 2012. Just a little recap of the previous 3 Bourne films. The first one, The Bourne Identity in 2012, which was directed by Doug Liman and had Matt Damon as Jason Bourne, took in an international gross of $215 million at the box office. The Bourne Supremacy in 2004 took in almost $290 million and was directed by Paul Greengrass. Then Paul Greengrass directed the film that critics and the public just absolutely loved. It was a reinvigoration of the action hero genre, The Bourne Ultimatum in 2007, taking in $442 million at the international box office, with a total of $945 million amongst all the Bourne films. So it became a really lucrative franchise. As for Jeremy Renner playing the lead in the new Bourne Legacy, it's news that I'm extremely excited about. He was nominated for an Oscar this year for a performance in a supporting role in The Town, where I thought he was excellent. He was nominated the year before as lead actor in the role of Sergeant First Class William James in the wonderful film The Hurt Locker. Jeremy Renner is probably one of the hottest actor at the moment, just doing some really massive and interesting films with substance, but also big blockbuster films. Apparently he can be seen very briefly in Thor, because he is one of the Avengers, as Clint, Barton, Hawkeye, which is due out on the 27th of April. And what's wonderful news is I'm hearing a lot of positivity about Thor. Then we have the massive The Avengers, due out on the 4th of May 2012, being written and directed by Josh Whedon, and this film is just massive. I've been talking about it, Alex has been talking about it on Movie Lover News. This is like a dream come true for every die-hard movie fan. The Avengers. Here are the cast. Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, Iron Man, Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, Captain America, Jeremy Renner as Clint, Barton, Hawkeye, Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, Cobie Smulders as Marie Hill, Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, Stellan Skarsgård as Professor Erik Selvig, Tom Hiddleston as Loki, and Clark Gregg as Agent Phil Coulson. This is going to be a massive film, especially for Jeremy Renner. Jeremy Renner can also be seen that same year, a little bit earlier, on the 2nd of March 2012, in also a very interesting film, Hansel and Gretel, Witch Hunters. Catching up with Hansel and Gretel 15 years after their incident involving a gingerbread house, the siblings have evolved into bounty hunters who hunt witches, with Gemma Arterton as Gretel and Jeremy Renner as Hansel and Famke Janssen as Muriel. Then this year we see Jeremy Renner in the massive film Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, which is hopefully the film that reinvigorates the Mission Impossible franchise. It's been released on the 16th of December this year and has Brad Bird as director of this film. Brad Bird is one of the best writer-directors, one of the most creative writer-directors at the moment. He has written and directed Ratatouille, The Incredibles, The Iron Giant, so it's going to be so interesting to see what he does with this new Mission Impossible, where they were really excited about having Jeremy Renner on board as a character called Brunt, and obviously Tom Cruise back as Ethan Hunt, Simon Pegg, Paula Patton and Josh Holloway will also be in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. The director for this film is Tony Gilroy. He wrote the screenplay for the Bourne Identity and the Bourne Supremacy, and wrote the story and screenplay for the Bourne Ultimatum. He also wrote and directed Duplicity and Michael Clayton. And what I find ties this all together is that the cinematographer for this film, The Bourne Legacy, is Robert Elswit. Robert Elswit shot 2009's Duplicity, which Tony Gilroy, the director of The Bourne Legacy, directed. Robert Elswit shot There Will Be Blood, which is one of my favorite films of the decade, in 2007, where he won an Oscar for Best Cinematography. He also shot again for Tony Gilroy, Michael Clayton, and what's very interesting is Robert Elswit is shooting Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, which stars Jeremy Renner. So I find that extremely interesting, the tie between Jeremy Renner and the cinematographer Robert Elswit. And Robert Elswit shot The Town, which Jeremy Renner starred in. So I find that such a coincidence that we have the cinematographer Robert Elswit, who's shot films for Tony Gilroy. His films he shot recently were The Town, which starred Jeremy Renner, and Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, which Jeremy Renner stars in. So it's going to be such a great collaborative, dynamic, strong force. Robert Elswit, the cinematographer, Tony Gilroy, the director of the Bourne Ultimatum, and Jeremy Renner starring in it. I've seen a lot of comments online, a lot of negativity. A lot of people say Matt Damon is irreplaceable as Jason Bourne. And Jeremy Renner is not replacing Matt Damon as Jason Bourne. He's starring as a new character. I just have hope. They're shooting this anyway. I'm just going to say that it's a 10 out of 10 on my personal excitement meter. I think that these guys know that there's a lot of negativity about the fact that there's a new Bourne film without Matt Damon. I've put out show after show about this film with comment after comment saying that Matt Damon is the only Jason Bourne, and I agree, he is the only Jason Bourne, and I just love rewatching those films. They're great in their genre, but they're making this film anyway, and they have the talent. They have Tony Gilroy, who's written all of the Bourne films, so I really think it's great. And I'm sure they have Paul Greengrass's and Matt Damon's blessing for this film. So again, I put a 10 out of 10 on my personal excitement meter, and I'm extremely excited about this film, with the release date already set for the 3rd of August, 2012. Thanks for watching Movie Lover News. I hope you enjoyed the show, bringing you the #1 movie show on earth. Your host, Tyron Rubin, doing the show with Alex. Thanks for watching.